everybody, and welcome to Kampala Road in Uganda, and this is my May 18 update, a little bit overdue. Just before we get underway, a couple of things I'd like to say. A shout out to Adi Pullen, who did a very nice tribute video on me, believe it or not. It was very touching. Adi, if you're watching this, and you probably are because you're my subscriber, and we communicate outside YouTube as well, thank you very much, mate. It was very, very touching, and I really appreciate it. Nobody's ever done anything like that for me before. I'd also like to say thank you very much for all the subscribers who've come on board recently. Last time I looked I was nearly at 400. But thank you, and I'm very, very appreciative. As the old timers are still there and hanging on and suffering my videos, and all you new guys will now suffer some of my videos if you want to watch them. I really appreciate the comments. There's the usual suspects who comment and the new guys, so I really appreciate it, and it's nice to know, like others in Australia and other places where you're isolated, you've got people watching you and supporting you and making suggestions, so it's really good. So thank you very much. Very, very appreciative. So straight into it, we can see that I've received my half-relief building, which I mentioned in the last update. It's a little bit smaller than I had anticipated and a bit thinner. It really is half-relief. But I think I can make something of it and start to make something of that upper deck area, or whatever you want to call it, concourse. See what we can make of the station. See if I can get some stairs going down to the platforms and crack on with this area. I have been experimenting with weathering, a bit dangerous that for me, with these two super quick buildings. One of them is very old. I do want my station to look pretty run down and derelict. I primarily in the 70s, early 80s, although I tend to stretch that a bit like everybody, I guess. And I think back then my memories of everything was pretty run down, not looked after, boarded up buildings, etc. There just wasn't the money around. So I want to make this area look pretty derelict, so I've started weathering to try and bring some sort of age and dirt and grime to the station. Not sure about these super quick kits. I do like them, but I'm useless at making them. So they may get replaced one day, but at the moment they're doing their job. Right, I've done some additions with people on the platforms. It really does transform it, doesn't it? I didn't realise that put a few figures on the platforms and it really brings your station to life. So I've added a few. I don't have too many, so next time I go overseas I'll be buying some more. They are expensive though. But yeah, it does transform the station, I feel, and brings life to it. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm beginning to enjoy this station now. The biggest problem is I don't use it that much because the terminus side, you have to uncouple locomotives as they arrive in the terminus. Being as I'm the Fat Controller's chair is right at the other side of the layout, it's a bit of a bind, ducking under the second well and uncoupling each time, so I tend not to use the station, but that is about to change, and in hopefully my next update video I'll be able to show you why that is going to change. Okay, right here I've taken a leaf out of Tony at Tony Northeastern's site, which is brilliant. One of my favourite ones I watch, his channel, and a lot of people here are his fans, and he did a great how-to videos on his TMD with the cobblestones. I had some brick and decided to copy him and decorate this little area which I'd sort of put some sprinkled colours on, but flock or whatever you want to call it, but hadn't really done anything with it. So I watched what Tony was doing and stuck down the brickwork, weathered it and made a little bit of a yard. So there's a guy there chatting to the porter on the platform on the other side. Bit of rubbish lying around. It's a very, very small area, but it looks good. It brings off the non-platform side of the station, adds that little bit of interest, and has come off better than I thought by using Will's Kit viaduct brickwork. I've done a little bit of detail to the station here. As I said, I've been weathering this area here. I put some brickwork around the concrete pillar for the bridge. Some signs on there, but there's a lot you can do, isn't there? There's so much you can paint, you can buy little bits and pieces of rubbish and station material, that sort of thing. So I've just got to bide my time. As and when I go to places I'll pick up bits and pieces. But it looks okay. I'm quite pleased with it. Container's probably a little bit modern for 1970s, but it'll do for the moment. Ignore the wiring underneath. Right, carrying on my theme of having a run-down looking station and area, this is something I've been working on the last weekend and a couple of evenings, and this is my view from the Fat Controller's chair, so it's not very rewarding. So a question for people who want to comment, when I show you the other side, let me know what you think. Right, excuse the wobbly camera work, it's a bit difficult to film even from where I am. I've started to do a derelict street, and again following on from Tony's example of cobblestones, I've used the Will's some sort of cobblestone anyway for the roadway, and again I want this area, all this area, to look very, very derelict. My memories travelling up from King's Cross or down from Leeds to King's Cross, anyway north, was when you got north of Sheffield, things started to look pretty run down back in the late 70s when I was on the train, and especially around Ellen Road area, before Ellen Road, coming into Leeds, you saw some big wastelands, big derelict areas, boarded up houses. It wasn't very nice. And I want to try and get something like that in this area. So what I've done is a couple of low relief houses from Bachmann. I've put it on at a height so it overlooks the railway. Some brick boarding. I've got to finish this. I've done some weathering. There needs to be some buttresses. Static grass, as you can see, static grass covering up starting to grow over the cobblestones. A wasteland area at the end. I'm having trouble filming this. Rubbish ground here, and then in the foreground I put some of this green matting. Sorry, can't see what I'm doing now. Put some green matting here, which I will then make this into a waste ground. And then some dilapidated fencing. Two reasons why it's dilapidated. One, it really is dilapidated. I've used it so many times in other areas, layout. Secondly, I'm going to cut this so it looks like it's falling apart because things weren't looked after back then. So I need lots and lots of rubbish on here. You know, I'm not sure about a burnt out car, but shopping trolley, kids playing, old bicycles, fridges. I don't know where I can get that from, but I'll start looking. Then again, on the front of it, rubbish, wasteland, paint this fencing, cut it so it looks like it's breaking or has not looked after. So yes, a bit of a diorama of a derelict scene right next to the station. And then in this corner here I was going to put some sort of earth moving equipment, dump trucks in BR yellow or something of the 70s type to make it look like it's a little car park area, storage area or yard again. So this is what I've been working on. I'm quite okay with how it's worked. I do like static grass. If you haven't used it, try it. It's great fun. It's very, very pleasing when you get down to that sort of level. You can see it growing. I put an old park bench in there that's broken. So, and it's growing up, the static grass is growing up the walls. I mean, it attaches itself everywhere. At the end here, I actually got it growing on top of the wall. It's good fun. It's very rewarding stuff. But get the right stuff. Don't skimp on money because there's some cheap stuff out there. It's not very good. And I talk from experience, me being cheap. So my question being, do I leave it looking that way? And that's the back I see from the back controller's chair. And that is the correct way. That's how I've made it, so it overlooks the railway. Or do I turn it round so it actually can be seen and enjoyed from within the well or from people standing at the doorway here looking into the railway or wherever they may be? I'm not sure, to be honest. I didn't realise I'd had that problem until I stuck it there and sort of thought, well, you've done all this work, it will look nice when you're finished and you don't see it. So what do you think? Let me know whether it should be turned the other way or it should face the line. Okay, a decision I've come to, and this is really sort of from the watching other people's YouTube channels and also from the Facebook YouTube community page, is the condition of my rolling stock, which is pretty poor. I don't have too much freight, and as far as carriage is concerned, everything other than my 1970s/80s rolling stock is pretty old. The thing you see in front of you, the Mark IIs, and I've got the Bachmann Mark Is. They're okay, they're good. But I've been using on my Steam videos this sort of contraption, which was in its day the best. As you can see from there, with the white interior, doesn't really pass the mustard these days. I've also been using this quite a bit on previous videos. Bachmann's Mark Is, which I think were mainline. They wobble like mad when they go round. I don't know if that's my track work or the nature of the beast. So I've decided, or the board has decided, the railway board has decided to stop buying superfluous things like locos that don't work and upgrade some of the rolling stock. So here's my first example of operating my rolling stock. I've actually been after this for a very long time, but always backed off at the price. And I got this fairly cheap. I mean, if you look around, you can find things, and pre-owned stock, retail stores and that sort of thing, sometimes they're crazy prices, or more than new. Sometimes you can pick up a bargain, and this was just the case. However, I opened this with great gusto and excitement, only to find that the colour is incredibly different to the other Network Southeast stock I've got. I'm not sure whether that's right or not. Has my stock faded, or is the colour wrong, or was the colour on the Mark Is different to the Mark IIs? But the other issue is it's taller than my Mark II coaches, and it took me a couple of minutes to work out why, and that's because the wheels are bigger. It has a much larger set of wheels on that coach than on the Mark IIs. Again, I don't know why. AD Pullen, you're a master of all this sort of information. Maybe you can let me know which is right and which is wrong. But it is, as you can see, 2 or 3 millimeters higher than the Mark II. So the strategy is to improve coaching, rolling stock, and make my freight rolling stock more interesting than what I've got. Again, AD has helped me a little bit on a train I am planning, and I'm hoping in the next couple of months that will come together. But yes, I think if I can improve some of the coaching stock, especially on the steam locomotives, which is pretty ropey, things will look a lot better. But it is costly, so slowly. One other thing I wanted to do for this update was to sort out this locomotive coming into shot now. Franco Crosti 9F. Wonderful loco, beautiful looking machine. Unfortunately, she doesn't have tender pickups, which I really insist on when I buy a steam locomotive, but this was such a beautiful locomotive, I went and bought it. There was a TTS version of this. I have been looking for pickups for this tender for months and months to modify the tender so she has pickups, but I haven't been able to find them, the usual culprits. So I've done modifications on a couple of other steam locos without tender pickups, namely the Flying Scotsman, which went from a 6-wheel pickup to a 14-wheel pickup locomotive, and it really worked well. But it was fiddly. It wasn't very expensive, just fiddly. This one, I thought I'd try something else, and I got one of these. A Zen DCC Concepts decoder, good Aussie company, with a stay alive capacitor, I assume. And I was going to stick that in and to see whether that solves any little problems. Now, when I first got this locomotive, she does stutter on a couple of points I've got. For newbies on my channel, very few of my points are actually level because my baseboards have warped quite badly, and a lot of the points are at an angle, let's just put it politely like that. So I was going to put this Zen decoder in this locomotive. However, I haven't done it because she's been performing faultlessly without one. She just has a cheapo Hatton's decoder in, I think, and I'll just move her over these points. These are the points she struggles with, and she just stuttered there a little bit. Now, strangely enough, these points are probably the flattest set of points on the layout, and yet she does struggle with them slightly. She has been performing very well. Let's try again at a nice slow crawl, see what happens. There you go, proved wrong. She's perfect. Anyway, I'm going to do it anyway, because I've only got two locos that don't have tender pickups, this one and the Flying Scotsman, which, as I said, have been modified. So I'm going to put this decoder in her, and hopefully any sort of issues will be sorted out. But a beautiful loco by Hornby, a bit of a stunner I think, and a good gamble on their part. And finally, a dark corner of the layout, but I've finally done something with this area. This is the end of cockerel cutting. I'll just pan around so you know where you are for those familiar with the layout. There's the exit to the cutting, coming past the pillbox, past the level crossing, and then out back of the layout. And I've finally done something about it. I was going to put a tunnel entrance in, umming and ahhing, and I just thought a bridge would look much better. So that's the way it is, and it's all scratch built apart from, it's a Wills kit, sorry, and the walls are scratch built. I've got to do some weathering. You can see I was a bit adventurous with the paintbrush there, starting it and then stopped. I'm going to change the grey colour. I've seen people do green and blue. But I remember as a kid somewhere, and I think it may have been in Hull, there was a sort of off-white, cream, yellowy colour I saw. And the reason it sticks in my mind is because at the time I thought, what a silly colour, because all the rust was bubbling, the paint was peeling off, and it was badly marked and streaked. But I thought for something different, I might do a sort of yellowy, off-white colour. Completely inappropriate for a bridge, but I have seen it and I'll give it a go. Finally, once again, thank you very much for everybody who's pressed that button and subscribed. It genuinely means a lot. I enjoy watching other people's videos and getting ideas and stealing ideas. If you've seen an example here, but I think that's what it's all about. It does make me feel part of a group, whereas I don't think there's anybody else who does model railways here in Kampala, and I don't mention it to anybody here either. I think that was mad. But yeah, thanks very much, and I hope this has been of interest, and if you've made it this far, I really do appreciate it. So, from Kampala, and Uganda. Cheers for now.